What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the Gears Cast. Welcome everyone to the Gears Cast, guys, the best Gears of War podcast here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. So with that, guys, welcome all of you. To all of you that are watching the show live, welcome here on Twitch. And for those of you watching this as a VOD on YouTube, I want to also say welcome everyone to the Gears Cast, our episode 2 of the show, which I'm really excited about. The way the show works, guys, for those of you who are new, we have a number of topics that we want to talk about on each given episode, which you guys can watch this show every single Monday. And with that, we have a number of topics. And then at the end of the show, if you have any questions regarding any of the topics of the day, I'll take those at the end of the show. And so just as a recap, guys, just until we kind of get a flow here going, on Mondays, of course, you can expect the Gears Cast. On Tuesdays, you'll be able to expect the Watch Dogs podcast, which is called The Resistance. And then on Wednesday is Zero Dark, which is our Call of Duty podcast. Thursday is The Last Cast, which is the Last of Us podcast. And then on Friday is For the Swarm, which is our StarCraft podcast. Saturday is the 8 Below show. And then Sunday is Zero Questions, Zero Answers, which is the Q&A show. So we have a full lineup of content and programming for all of you. This is something that I have been incredibly excited about, and the Gears Cast is certainly no different. This is a show that I'm really excited to continue for all of you. But let's get into our topics of the day. So our topics of the day, guys, we're going to be talking about Gears Esports to start the show, and then we'll continue by, I'm going to give you guys a current state of Gears 5 in my personal opinion, and really a current state of Gears of War as a whole at this point in time. And then I also want to give you guys my Gears of War story. That's been something that people have been asking me about. And lastly, I want to talk about how Gears of War and Gears Esports and just the community at large can move forward when we look at all the positives and negatives going on within the community. How can we move forward? How can Gears of War move forward? How can we, really look forward to certain things upcoming in the future? So that's the show, guys, as to what you guys can expect here on this episode of the Gears Cast. So let's get into it. To start the show by talking about Gears Esports. And look, I love Gears Esports. I love Gears of War, man, as a whole. That's pretty obvious just because this is one of my favorite games of all time. But Gears Esports, guys, I think is something that we really do need to talk about, because I think there's significant concern amongst many members of the community that Gears Esports may die. It might just go away completely and be replaced by a game like Halo Infinite from the esports scene. I've stated this before, guys. I'll state it again. That Gears Esports needs to continue in a major way. I mean, it's a very special esport in my personal opinion. I feel like when you look at the community at large, I mean, there's nothing like Gears of War esports. There's nothing like it. I mean, really, when you think about it, Gears esports is a very, the community is, it's a passionate community. This is a very competitive community, and the trash talk amongst many other things that make Gears Esports, it's definitely something that just needs to continue. Now, when I say that Gears Esports might die, look, it starts, I think it really starts with the community as far as, whether an esport will continue or not. Sure, numbers are always a big part of that, but when you look at Gears Esports, it doesn't get like insane viewership. It does okay, 10, 11,000 views, sometimes anywhere between like 7 to 11,000 views during, some of the tournaments or the majors or whatever. But it's not like, one of these massive esports out there. It's not like Call of Duty. It's not like, League of Legends or CSGO or, all these different esports that are out there. So it's very important that we as a community make sure that, I think that a lot of the Gears Pro players have a tendency to really lash out at the developers when there's things that they don't like. And a lot of it has to do, in my personal opinion, with whether, what their results are in a tournament. Sometimes the Gears Pro players will complain about things, and it's definitely just, and it's definitely something, there might be things that need to be changed. But I really think it all comes down to the culture built around Gears of War, that we have to continue trying to uphold certain, core values within the community that will continue Gears Esports in the future. Because yes, there is certainly talk that Halo Infinite will replace Gears Esports, which I don't believe that's going to happen, guys. I believe Gears Esports is definitely something that will continue. It doesn't get as good of views as certain games out there. However, when we look at Halo as a game, why would they put all their eggs in just Halo when this was a game back in Halo 5 that really the esports scene was an absolute disaster? Gears Esports is already, it's established at this point. This is one of the staples for Xbox exclusives, along with, of course, Halo. They're basically the two juggernauts for Xbox. And so why would you get rid of that? The esports scene already, for Gears already has, it's kind of got this culture that's kind of being built, this foundation. So why would you like stop supporting that just to go all in on Halo when we have no idea how well Halo's going to do? So for me, I don't believe Gears Esports is going anywhere. However, it may die, guys, because of, all the backlash within the community about certain things, certain aspects of the game, which sure, there are certain things that need to be changed, but a lot of it, guys, I think is just unneeded hate towards the Coalition. And look, for me, I don't like, I will certainly voice my opinion when I feel like it needs to be voiced. However, there's a certain way you go about doing it. And I think that sometimes in the Gears community, we sometimes just kind of get a little bit too heated about things in the moment. And so I think that we just got to kind of think about that, because at the end of the day, guys, the Coalition and Microsoft were the reason why Gears of War came back in the first place. So without them, none of this would have even happened, okay? And obviously, there's a passionate fan base here with Gears of War, so that's also helped with all of us, coming together, wanting more Gears of War games. I just want, guys, after Rod Ferguson, the studio head at the Coalition, before he left to go to Blizzard, he stated that Gear 6 and Gear 7 are both confirmed. And so what I'm hoping for is that we get Gears Esports into, Gear 6 as well as Gear 7, that this is a continuous ordeal moving forward. And I think the way that we got to move forward is by, as a community, we got to work together. A lot of it is us as streamers, content creators, just creating more content, streaming more. I think for community members, people who just enjoy watching content, support your favorite streamers, support your favorite content creators, watch your favorite pro players. I think the pro players need to be streaming more and creating more content. That helps really build a lot of eyeballs on the scene, so to speak. I think there's just a number of things, little things, honestly, that we all should be doing to help Gears kind of progress moving forward. And we'll kind of get to that later on in the show. But Gears of War Esports, guys, it might die if we don't, kind of change certain things and continue certain things at the same time. So it's like there's always a balancing act. We're kind of changing things as we go, and we also keep things the same as we go as well. And so there's kind of a balancing act there that I think is important, but Gears Esports needs to continue, and I don't believe there's any debate in my mind about it. It's unlike any other esport in the world. It needs to continue, and look, if we allow for something like Halo, which I'm very happy that Halo Infinite, with that game coming out, I'm incredibly excited about it. And I'm excited to see Halo hopefully rise once again when it comes to the esports scene. But if we allow, Gears Esports to die, and like at some point or another here, whether it's because of Halo or because of the toxicity in the Gears community or whatever it might be, we'll have no one really but ourselves to blame for it. So I think that we really need to kind of keep that in mind when you lash out at the developers, that being the Coalition, and the way that we lash out at one another. I think that there's definitely room for conversation about things, guys, but there's just a lot of toxicity at times within the community. And look, Gears of War is not the only community that has this. This happens in Call of Duty, Fortnite, I mean, tons of other games, right? The problem is when you have a smaller game like Gears of War, the community's not quite as big, and there's toxicity, it almost becomes an infection amongst the entire community at large, and then you got a problem, in my personal opinion. But with that, guys, I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Do you think Gears esports will die at some point or another, or do you think this can just continue moving forward, and what do you guys think needs to happen for it to continue forward? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and let's have a real conversation about it. That I think is an important topic, and I did this. This was one of the first 8 Below shows that I did, and I wanted to talk about, you know, Gears of War in that episode of the show in particular, and I talked about the current state of Gears of War as a whole, and this was a while back when I did this, but I wanted to go ahead and give you guys my thoughts on the current state of Gears at this point in time. So really, we're going to be talking about mainly Gears 5, but we can say just the totality of Gears of War as a whole at this very point. So at this point in time, guys, we have had, you know, a number of games that have come out. Sure, the main ones, obviously, in my opinion, are Gears, you know, 1 through 3. And then Gears of War Judgment, you know, like I've always said, was a step in the wrong direction. Gears of War Ultimate Edition, I think, was a great, you know, kind of step kind of in the right direction. I liked Gears 4 a lot for what it kind of offered, even though it was kind of the Coalition's first go-around with a major title within the Gears of War franchise. And then Gears 5, I think, we're really moving in this great direction. Now, sure, each Gears of War title that's come out for a while has been shaky at times, right? There's been times where I've looked at the Gears of War community and just Gears of War at large, thinking that every single launch for Gears of War is always shaky and it's always tough. And why that is? Well, I think it happens with many games out there. And this kind of gets back to the size of the community. Look, when we look at Gears of War, it's a smaller community than that of Call of Duty. So let's just say Call of Duty has an issue that comes out when the game first comes out. Sure, there's going to be some people who complain about it, and there might actually be a lot of people who complain about it, but the community is so large that a lot of times it doesn't even matter whether Infinity Ward or Treyarch or whoever, whichever, you know, company it is that their turn making a Call of Duty game, they can get to it when they get to it. With Gears of War, it's a little bit more difficult because it's a smaller community. That being the Coalition, they got to get on it almost immediately. And so when they don't, there ends up being a lot of backlash and such. So anyways, Gears 5 had a shaky start, okay? There's no real debate about that. I thought from the get-go, I enjoyed, like, you know, of course, the campaign, which is what I played the very first out of any game mode within Gears of War. I played the campaign. I thought the campaign was really good. I liked it a lot more than Gears of War 4. There were definitely concepts I liked in Gears of War 4, but Gears 5 I thought was great. I was worried about the semi-open world, but I absolutely love that. After playing Gears 5, I thought it was a great change of pace almost from the other Gears of War titles. And so with that being said, from a campaign perspective, I was pretty excited. There were, of course, minor things I didn't like about it. I didn't like the way that JD's character was treated. I kind of would have liked to play JD one more game before he passes the torch on to Kate Diaz. But nonetheless, those are kind of minor complaints. But overall, I thought the campaign was great. And then, of course, multiplayer. I liked the multiplayer. I thought the multiplayer was kind of another step in the right direction. Gears of War 4, I actually really liked the multiplayer in Gears of War 4. To Gears 5, I really enjoyed it as well. The one thing I complained significantly about was the rank-up system in Gears 5. I didn't like how the re-ups just there was, you know, obviously the rewards you got when you would re-up were pretty much abysmal. There was nothing there. There really isn't much there even to this day. And then, of course, you know, just the re-up emblems, there was always something there with something really cool with having re-up emblems. And when you got to Gears 5, there was really nothing there. They had, you know, no real re-up emblems, and now they just have the, you know, Roman numerals when you re-up at this point. So there have certainly been issues, in my opinion. Now, other people have found many other things to complain about regarding Gears 5 from the very beginning to even now. And I understand some of those things, but the things that bother me the most were certainly little aspects with the campaign, aspects within the multiplayer. I didn't really feel that a lot of it affected the game as a whole. It just kind of affected like your experience with certain things. You know, I don't want to put it grind as much to re-up because there's nothing you really get out of it. Things like that were more so what bothered me. But I gotta say, guys, that all in all, throughout all of it, to where we are right here, right now in 2020, you know, a little bit past halfway through the year, I love where we are with Gears 5. I gotta say, I love where we are. Sure, I mean, are there still things that bother me about it? Do I wish that, you know, you could, you know, have really cool emblems and such for the re-ups and things of that nature? Absolutely, right? I've always felt that Gears of War had some of the coolest skins in any video game out there that you could earn. But overall, I gotta say that the Coalition, they've kind of, you know, almost hunkered down and gotten to a point where they have, you know, been consistent with creating updates and things of that nature to really continue the overarching, you know, what they're planning on doing with Gears of War as a whole, with Gears 5. And the operations, guys, I gotta say, Operation 4 is great, and I think it's a huge step in the right direction for the franchise, or just really for Gears 5, you know, in its lifespan. We know Gears 6 is already in development by the Coalition, and that's exciting as well, because I think that even though we're just starting to finally get to a really positive point with Gears 5, there's always something to look ahead to, and Gear 6 is definitely going to be that next thing, I think. Now, sure, we're going to get continued operations. We probably won't get an announcement on Gear 6 until next year at the earliest. Maybe we'll get it later this year, but I would assume next year. Probably next year at some point, we'll get an announcement for Gear 6. So, as far as the current state of Gears from a multiplayer perspective, I love where we are. Operations, you know, this is the best operation in my personal opinion. From horde mode, from playing with like your friends, whether it's in horde mode, escape mode, I mean, I love it. They're adding stuff consistently to these modes, guys, that are keeping it fresh, keeping it exciting, new maps, new, you know, they're just adding a lot, right? They're adding many different things and aspects to Gears 5 to make it as fun of an experience as possible. And one of my favorite things about Gears of War that I've stated many times, guys, was always the fact that it was a full package. This is a full package deal. You get a campaign, you also get a multiplayer, you also get co-op modes, and it just really justifies the $60 price tag. Or if you get Xbox Game Pass, you know, you're basically getting it for free. Obviously, you're paying for the subscription, but it's the best subscription service in all of gaming, and it's not even close. And so where we're at right now with Gears, we're moving in a great direction, in my opinion. The things that we need to do, though, more, and I stated this and alluded to it earlier in the show, we need, as a community, to support our favorite streamers, support our favorite content creators, and the content creators and streamers out there need to be creating consistent content over time, continuing to create content, continuing to stream the game. Because what happens is over time, guys, it becomes infectious almost. It's one of those things where more and more people start checking it out. More eyeballs are on Gears of War, which is what you want. The best way, though, to do this is through the pro players. We need more pro players in the Gears of War scene to stream and to create content. I would say at least stream. Like, just at least do that. It's going to bring more eyeballs to the scene, in my personal opinion. Every time Explosive decides to go ahead and stream, he's getting really good numbers. I just think it's really smart. I understand that they're trying to really, you know, just master their craft and become the best in the world. But at the same time, I think that there's certainly time that you can find to stream. It's just a matter of doing it. The same thing with creating content. So Are we moving in a good direction? I believe so, guys. And I think that we're starting to build, as we go, more and more momentum. We just got to keep supporting the coalition. Sure, voice your opinion when there's something you don't like. But I think it's all about the way that we say it. It's all about the way that we approach it. And so I think that's a really important thing, guys, moving forward. But anyways, I want to know from all of you, though, what do you guys think about the current state of Gears of War and Gears 5 in particular? What are your thoughts about it? Let me know in the comment section below or in the live chat what you guys think, and let's have a real conversation about it. I want to talk about something that people have asked me. I kind of had alluded to this in our first episode of the Gears Cast, but people really, there was, a number of individuals that reached out to me on social media as well as, on YouTube and such about what my Gears of War story is and how I got into Gears of War in the first place. And so I thought I would share that with you guys here in this segment of the show. So my Gears of War story, guys, started with the very beginnings of the Xbox 360. So it was during the summer, I was working a job, wasn't getting paid a lot of money, but I saved up my money to buy an Xbox 360 when it first had arrived. I believe it was the summer of the Xbox 360 after the 360 had come out. And so anyway, I saved up my money, bought the Xbox 360, and the game that came with the 360 was Gears of War. And so it was the very first game I played on the 360. And I gotta say, immediately starting off playing that game, I fell in love with it unlike anything, man. It became rapidly my favorite game ever that I'd ever played on a console or just in general. It was my favorite game. I could not believe what they had achieved with Gears of War. I absolutely loved the title. Anyways, so I beat the first one, of course. Gears of War 2 came out, and I mean, I was there opening night. I was so excited about Gears of War 2, and it even exceeded my expectations from the first one. Second one was just as gritty, just as dark, but just as, these characters and just absolutely continued to fall in love with this story that is Gears of War. And then the third game came out. And this was really where I felt this was the peak of Gears of War in my personal opinion. And when I got Gears of War 3, and I was in line for it opening night, and I bought the game, took that game home, and after beating it, I said, they exceeded my expectations again. It wasn't... The original 3 Gears of War games, I don't know if it'll ever be touched by, within Gears of War again. It's hard to say. Maybe it will. It's very hard. But those first 3 games, those experiences were so gritty, so visceral, and just an incredible experience unlike anything. And Marcus Phoenix was rapidly becoming my favorite character in all of video games. And Gears of War 3, guys, to this day, is one of my top 5 favorite video games of all time. It is certainly one of them. I know a lot of people thought that the second one was better. Some thought that the third was the best. But the third Gears of War game was the best in my personal opinion. And it still is. I loved the full package deal that you got with it. I loved the multiplayer scene. Really, to be honest with you guys, the third Gears of War title was the first one I really got into as far as from a multiplayer perspective. Playing it, playing with my friends in Horde mode, playing against other people. I played the first 2, but it was more so just playing from a, campaign perspective, looking for all the dog tags or the cog tags and, just things of that nature, looking for different collectibles after beating it and just loving the story as a whole. Once I got to the third one, that's where the competitive nature came into play for me. And I loved Gears of War 3, and I couldn't wait for the next iteration, whatever that would come, and the next one ended up being Gears of War Judgment. And look, Gears of War Judgment, guys, from the very start, and I saw Baird on the front cover, and I said, that is just not it, in my opinion. And I wasn't sold on it right from the get-go. And so, obviously, got the game, but after playing it, I was so disappointed. I thought that if you were to call the dark ages of Gears of War, which I call different segments and periods of time within some of these games, guys, I call the dark ages of a game. Like Call of Duty's dark ages was the 3 jetpack games that came out. Technically, Black Ops 3 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare were the 2. Advanced Warfare, I thought, it was a different idea, but the dark ages were definitely those other couple of games. If we had a dark ages of Gears of War, it would definitely be from, Judgment to where we pretty much are, at this point. And not so much. Gears of War Ultimate Edition was fine. Definitely a step in the right direction. But I felt like we didn't get to the point where we were back until Gears of War 4. I just didn't like the aspect of Gears of War Judgment where it was almost like the entire campaign was just almost, it felt like a horde match. It was like you're going up against waves and waves of enemies the entire game. And I just did not like that concept whatsoever. Anyways, we got through Gears of War Judgment to Ultimate Edition, which Gears of War Judgment to Ultimate Edition was a big difference. I mean, I thought Ultimate Edition was great, but it wasn't until Gears of War 4, which was really the first time that, the Coalition, because of all the issues that happened with Epic Games and such, and now getting the Coalition, this studio formed by Microsoft to helm specifically Gears of War. I was so excited about it, and Gears of War 4 comes out. I gotta say, the campaign was, it was okay. I was expecting way more, but I thought, okay, this is a good, starting point to kind of get us moving forward. And I thought the multiplayer was incredible. Thought the, Horde was great. All in all, I loved Gears of War 4. It was the best one since Gears of War 3, in my opinion. Then you get Gears 5, and I really feel that we're starting to find our footing here. From a campaign perspective, things have changed. It's now gone to a semi-open world setting, which at first I was really skeptical about, but now I absolutely love it. I love that they're taking this direction from a very linear perspective and linear experience to now having a semi-open world and maybe getting a full open world in Gear 6. I love the concept of it, guys. I absolutely love it, and it's just a change. It's a breath of fresh air, so to speak, within the Gears of War franchise. So, all in all, guys, I will never turn my back on Gears of War. This is, I mean, you can never say never, right? But this is a title that has been there since the very beginning for me when it comes to the Xbox 360. And Gears of War was one of those games that really opened my eyes to so much more like creativity and such in the space. And I remember, this was kind of just the early days, man. The early days of all of this, YouTube coming out shortly after that, and or at least getting involved, like watching YouTube videos and such, and just, Twitch and all of that. All of those things came after, and it was like this stepping stone, and it's just unbelievable that Gears of War has really stood the test of time since the 360, and it's going to be, I'm hoping, going strong moving forward, and I think we're back to a really good place in the Gears of War community. It's exciting, guys. I gotta say, I'm very excited about the future of Gears of War, and I've been bullish on it from the very beginning, even though we had, a valley, that being Gears of War Judgment. I thought it was definitely the worst in the franchise, but we're back on track, guys. From Gears of War Ultimate Edition to Gears of War 4 to Gears 5, I think we're going on a good track here, in my personal opinion. But let me know, guys, what is your story based around Gears of War? How did you get involved in it? What did you guys think about it? Are you in the community as a, from the perspective of you're very active in the community, or is it something that you've left at times and come back at other times? Let me know what you guys think, and let me know what your guys' Gears of War story is. Let's have a conversation about it. I want to talk about how Gears of War and Gears esports and the community at large, how we can move forward here into Gears 6. And so look, guys, as I stated earlier, I believe that we are in the best current state of Gears 5 that we've ever had. I think that coming off of the Gears Major Championship within the esports scene to Operation 4 to just how the community is starting to slowly but surely continue its growth and growing as a whole. And the future just looks really great for Gears of War. From an esports perspective to a story perspective to a content perspective, there's so many different ways that we can connect with Gears of War, and that's why I love this franchise so much. You're able to connect in so many different ways, whether it be through, whether it's through Horde mode, whether it's through Escape mode, or you want to play multiplayer, or you want to play, the campaign over and over again, whatever it is, there's so many different ways to connect with this franchise, and that's what I absolutely love about it so much. So how can we continue moving forward? Well, the first thing is, guys, is that we got to be supporting each other. That's a huge deal, in my opinion. We got to continue supporting each other and supporting the coalition, telling them what we want changed and the things that we want moving into Gears of War 6 or Gears 6, whatever it might be called. It sounds like it's going to be Gears 6 based on that Microsoft Studios image that was released. But Gears 6, guys, as well as Gears 7 have been confirmed, and they were confirmed by Rod Ferguson, the studio head at the Coalition, till he left to go to Blizzard. And then this was fully confirmed, or furthermore confirmed, at least Gears 6. When we saw the image that came out from Microsoft Studios, it showed each of the studios from Microsoft, and it showed exactly what they were working on at that current point in time. The Coalition is currently working on collaborating on the reboot of Perfect Dark, and they are also working on Gears 6. And so with that, guys, I would say that we're probably going to be seeing an announcement some point next year, which means that we still have some more operations to go. We probably have at least a few more operations here before Gears 6 releases to the world. And so what do we got to do? Well, we got to be supporting each other. That's a huge part of it. Like I said, we need to be supporting the Coalition. We need to be voicing our opinion on what needs, to be changed, what needs to continue, and do it in a civil manner, guys, and not be toxic and such towards the Coalition. Sure, there's things that the Coalition have done right, there's things they've done wrong, and there's things that you can do better moving forward, and I believe that they are trying to do those things at this point in time. And the proof is in the pudding. You see exactly what they're doing with these operations. Operation 4 is probably the best that has come out as of yet. I love the state of where we are with Gears 5, and I'm very excited about the future. I just think that more and more, guys, we need to, if you're a content creator or you're a streamer or something within Gears of War, or at least you love Gears of War, definitely be streaming, definitely create content. Those things absolutely help the community more than you would realize by helping create bringing more and more eyeballs onto the scene. I think that's really important, guys. So to me, as we're moving forward here, Gears esports has to continue, as I stated earlier in the show. Gears of War esports is so unique, and it is, such a great experience, and it's growing every single tournament. It's continuing to grow. And so I definitely got to say, guys, I would absolutely love it to see Gears of War esports continue in a major way, see the majors continue and all of that. And from a content perspective, as far as what the Coalition can continue bringing, is operations, man. Continue bringing operations, continue moving forward with that. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Definitely supporting the Gears esports side of it is really important as well. I really want to see, guys, from Gears of War, Gears 5 to Gears 6 with esports. I really want to see a change from escalation to execution. I just think that execution is a little bit more simpler for new viewers to understand. It's kind of like Search and Destroy. It's like, from Call of Duty, or kind of like CS, where it's just, each round is based on, you get one life, and then, after that round is done, then you get another life, and so on and so forth. I just think the execution could be a really great move forward for Gears esports. I would love to hear your thoughts about that in the comment section down below. I also want to see continued game modes come out. I don't know if they're going to do it with Gears 5, but with Gears 6, I would love to see, Beast mode return. I would love, of course, Horde mode needs to continue onwards. Escape mode, I love escape mode. I love that they're continuing to add on to that. I think that's a great idea, and I love that concept as well. And as far as from a story perspective, I want to absolutely see, a continuation here as to where is this kind of heading now. And we're probably going to continue taking the helm as Kate Diaz. I would really like to see us helm Marcus or JD Phoenix one last time, but I I gotta say that from a story perspective, I love where we're headed. I'm wondering what's canon and what's not canon from Gears 5. Obviously, with the decision you have to make at the end of the game, what's going to end up being canon is going to be very interesting to me. But all in all, Gears of War, guys, is in a really good place, but in order for it to continue growing, we as a community have got to be doing our part, really, at the end of the day, with the continued growth here. We're not as big as Call of Duty. We're not as big as Fortnite. We're not as big as, some of these other, juggernaut titles out there. Gears of War, I believe, has opportunity to be a really large title one day, but we're not there yet. We're laying a foundation here for the future, and I think it's really important that as we continue laying that foundation, building upon it over time, right? And I think that's so important from from a streaming perspective, content creation perspective. I believe from even the pro players, from them streaming and creating content is huge as well. And the more eyeballs that are on the scene, guys, the better, because it'll continue bringing in more, advertisers, more esports teams to the scene, and just more and more excitement, right? There's a lot of tournaments now. There's more that they offer now with Gears Esports than they ever have in the past, and that's huge. That's so important, and I'm so incredibly excited about that. But guys, Gears of War, as I've stated, is one of my favorite titles of all time. It's in the big three for me. Gears, StarCraft, and Call of Duty. Those are the big three to me, the three greatest games ever. And Gears of War has such a place in my heart that I absolutely want this title to continue in a major way, and I hope it does. But it's up to us as a community to voice our opinion, to just kind of, bring up that, in a civil way, the things that need changed about Gears, or how the coalition can continue moving forward with this franchise into the future. It's going to be really important that we take us as a community, we, kind of almost take control of what, we believe needs to happen moving forward to continue making the scene even better and better. And I think the coalition have done a really good job of creating this dynamic between, the developer and the community as a whole. They might, they're still trying to figure it out, guys. Kind of like 343 Industries. They're trying to figure it out as they go. But the coalition now has had some time. They have a few games down, on their belt at this point, or under their belt. So now it's time for them to really get super creative, have their vision for what they want out of Gears of War, and it's an exciting time, guys. It really is. I believe so full-heartedly in this community, as well as just the game, the developers, everyone behind the scenes. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be awesome, guys, and you guys can expect new episodes of the Gears Cast every single week. Let me know, though, guys. What do you think we need to do to improve Gears of War, or how the experience needs to be improved, and how we can improve as a community between now and Gears 6? Let me know what you guys think. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that, guys, let me know in the comment section down below who you guys want to see on the Gears Cast. Any pro players, any community members, any content creators, streamers. Let me know, guys, who you want to see on the show, and I'll see what I can do about getting those individuals on the show to kind of get their opinions on the current state of Gears of War and where we can, what we got to do to move forward here. Let me know what you guys think. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the Gears Cast. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.